It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Okay, and this show is brought to you by Subash Technosis, SubashTechnosis.com. You go to Subash Technosis if you need a website designed. As a matter of fact, we're hoping that they're going to help us design the new Awake Radio website, because we need some drastic changes there. If you need press releases, content writing, what else they do? Website design, search engine optimization, data entry, all kinds of nifty services over there at Subash Technosis. You can go there. You can go there to their website. You can go to Facebook, Subash Technosis LLC, and give them a little like there on Facebook. Let them show them some love over there at Subash Technosis. Also, too, guys, go to emailrevealer.com. Get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. But you want to know what? I'm back order on those books anyway. So if you want to get the book, go to Amazon. How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. Also, too, if you need any kind of services like asset searches, locates, if we can catch people cheating online, you give it their email address. We trace it back to online dating websites. All kind of nifty services over at emailrevealer.com. Okay, what's going on? Oh, now if you haven't had enough of Ed Opperman, how much can you take it as jerk in one night? So that's what I want to know. You've had 2 hours already. You're going to have another hour of my annoying voice. If you haven't had enough, Pierce Redmond, we're going to be playing the Pierce Redmond Porkins Policy Show after this. Another 2 hours of Mr. Redmond interviewing the wonderful Ed Opperman. And then, believe it or not, I almost got shanghaied, okay, to do an interview tomorrow afternoon for 2 hours before my Saturday show. Leave me alone, people. Okay, find your own guests. Give me a break. I need to rest. I'm exhausted. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., we have Dan Roll. Now, you haven't heard that name. Dan Roll is a local Nevada politician who's running for office here this election season, one of the Bernie-crats, and he's going to describe to you all the shenanigans in great detail. We're going to go over everything from start to finish, what went on here in Nevada with the Democratic Party and how they ripped us off and stole our votes here and rigged everything. But he has some new information that has not been reported before, and that is how they had the databases. The Democratic Party actually had the databases rigged. So, and we're knocking people off the rolls. He's going to explain firsthand, because he had access to those databases, and he saw it firsthand what was going on. So that's going on with that. Also, too, before my show on Friday nights is Nico House. He does a show called Mi Casa Su Casa on most of the stations that carry the Opperman Report. And he had a great show tonight. He always has a lively, interesting show. I enjoy it. And so I got a chance to talk to him a bit, because his law firm that he works for is handling the lawsuit against the DNC. And a lot of people may not realize this, but the DNC replied to that lawsuit just in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, with the most ludicrous response I've ever seen to a lawsuit. He's sending me all the documents. I'm going to be able to review the actual documents. But from the portions I've seen, their defense to this lawsuit is, well, the Bernie Sanders supporters should not be upset with us and feel that they donated money to a corrupt, rigged party because, well, they knew all along that it was rigged. They knew all along. They knew all along that we were rigging this thing when they were donating to Bernie. They knew. That's their defense. Hard to believe, but that's their defense. I had a little chat, too, last night with, you know how the process server who served those documents on the original complaint the summons and complaint against the DNC, Sean Lucas, it was found dead in his apartment. And there's been a lot of controversy on the internet about that. I spoke to a friend of his who said Ed, the guy, was not depressed. He was engaged. He had started a brand new business. He was in great health. He was a martial artist. Wasn't, suicidal, didn't use drugs. Had a lot of friends. I went looking for an update on that story, and what I found out was this, is that they have had the funeral for Mr. Lucas. No word back on the cause of death still. The family had a very small funeral with very, very family only invited, that even it was very small, let's put it that way, okay? And no one's talking about what's going on. No one's saying either that they believe it was shenanigans, or no one's saying that, hey, we don't believe that anything bad happened. So that's what's going on with that, the latest update. Oh, boy. You might recall I did a show called The Child Abduction Story. A story about this young... I think I told the story during the show tonight at the end there, but it's just a horrific story. And we find out now that the mother of that little girl that was abducted is now homeless. Her daughter was 13 years old, was abducted by a convicted sex offender, taken across state lines. The police, our wonderful police officers, rescue this little girl, and they promptly arrest her, because when this man came and abducted her, she stole her stepfather's truck. So they arrested her, they put her in foster care, and to totally have destroyed this family's life. Okay, that's what our wonderful system does for you. More breaking news you may not have heard about, is that the Standing Rock Sioux, you probably haven't heard this story, but where they are planted and protesting right now, where their camps are right now, where they are protesting, is called the Cannonball Ranch. Well, guess what, guys? Guess who just bought the Cannonball Ranch? The freaking oil company that wants to put in this pipeline. So they purchased this land, and obviously, shortly, they're going to be evicting these protesters from this land. So something new has to come up. I believe that this Standing Rock Sioux protest is going to it might be the tipping point. And also, we're seeing this video of these police planting this gun on this guy in Charlotte, North Carolina. I believe we're going to be seeing a tipping point here, guys, of people getting disgusted by what we see and what's going on. Coming up next Saturday, I have a very good guest, Freeway Ricky Ross. You might remember him. He was one of the most prolific cocaine dealers in California. Got involved with Gary Webb and the Iran-Contra and all that kind of stuff. So I had a little chat with him the other night. Kathy Scott is a good friend of the show. She's been on here several times, and she co-wrote the book with Ricky Ross. And she put the good word in for me. Got a hold of Rick Ross on the phone. Boom, 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 like that. And we got him booked. After that, there's been a little scheduling conflict, so I'm hoping we can work it out. But we have we're doing a show about the making of a murderer. Okay, the Ivory is up there. His name is Avery. Everyone was annoying the hell out of me about that. Oh, Ed, you got to do a show about this. Ed, you need to launch an investigation. Send a team of investigators over there. Okay, I'll get right on that for you. Okay, all right. So anyway, we have a guest coming on, but there's a conflict of scheduling. So we have to fix that. They should be coming on the week after. Okay, let's see here. Open up my notes, as I like to say on Friday nights. You might have seen these congressional hearings with the lovely Elizabeth Warren, who was, I'm surprised she's not done a Standing Rock Sioux with her native brothers and sisters, but selling out her Bernie Sanders friend for $24 worth of beads. But Elizabeth Warren scolding the president of Wells Fargo, who's also, by the way, he's on the board for the Federal Reserve. That's not getting much attention. But this president of Wells Fargo, because they opened up like 1 million credit card accounts, so people didn't even know they had these accounts. So they're sending them fees for these accounts. As you know, listen, this is another situation where this should be intolerable, that we should not be standing for this. This man should be in prison right now. He should be under arrest. at the very least, when you steal millions of dollars, you should be arrested for this. Not allowed to continue on, not allowed to resign in shame and have Elizabeth Warren shake her finger. Have you noticed how Elizabeth Warren sounds just like Underdog Lady from the Howard Stern show? Listen to an interview. I even put a video on my Facebook of Underdog Lady doing her shtick and Elizabeth Warren doing her shtick. It's the same voice. It might be the same person. They look a lot alike, too. Elizabeth Warren does not fool me for 1 second. I do not trust you, Elizabeth Warren. Go away. You're not fooling anybody here at the Opperman Report. EpiPen, same deal, man. Same deal. You know, we're going to shake our fingers at this woman who is the daughter of a congressman. He passes the laws, and then she buys the product, and it's all rigged, you know. And we got to stand up, guys. We got to stand up and put a stop to this. Anybody who still has an account at Wells Fargo, you're an idiot. Okay, I don't care if you have a business account, you've been working there you've been banking there for years. Okay, when this kind of stuff happens, you got to close the account and make us think about why you're doing it. I had an account. I had my business accounts were at Wells Fargo a couple of years back, and I was sitting there once. And this young girl comes in. She's all worried. Oh, you called me up and you said I had to come down. And there's something about my identity theft. You told me I had to come down here. And the young con man sits her down right across from me, man. You know? And he says, oh, well, we can check your account to see if there's any signs of identity theft on your accounts and on your credit report. I'll pull up your credit report for you. It's only going to cost you $35. And we're going to check this for you now. Oh, please, can you do that? Oh, please, go do it right now. Please. Oh, thank you. Okay. And he looks, oh, I don't see any signs. You're all in the clear. Oh, my God, this is great. Thank you for calling me. Okay. And when this woman left, I looked at this kid. I says, man, you got, you should be wearing a ski mask. You know, man? You could pull that kind of crap. I should have warned this kid as he was being ripped off. But, you don't want to cause a scene in a bank. And also, too, it's a long story. But you look up why people whisper in a bank, okay? It goes way back to the bank runs in the 20s and stuff like that. There used to be like a law. You weren't allowed to shout in a bank and raise your voice in a bank. Okay? Oh, my God. Okay. Like all of us, I'm disgusted by these police shootings. Okay? I'm fed up and I'm disgusted by them, and I'm disgusted by the reaction to them. We see this guy today in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. There is no doubt in my mind that the police planted that gun, and the photograph of the gun by his feet is a staged photograph. Now, I don't know if you've been watching this, but you got to pay close attention. There's a cop in a red shirt who's standing off to the side. He's not struggling with this poor, dying, innocent man, okay? But the photograph they take of the gun at the man's feet has the cop in the red shirt and another cop over him struggling. They staged that photo, okay, because we saw the video today from the man's wife, all right, when she took all this live. And these two cops were not struggling with him when he was alive. And when he was alive and they were shooting him and handcuffing him when he's dying there was no gun at his feet. But later on, they released this photo of a gun at his feet with these different cops struggling with his body. So this is open and shut case of police planting evidence on a guy. And I believe, too, this other case, I forget his name. I'm sorry, the man with the broken down car who was shot dead with his hands up. And what disgusts me about that case is I think we have all lost our minds, that we're looking at this video and saying, well, he's doing everything right. He has his hands up. He has his hands up, and they shot him anyway. Oh, no. He was reaching inside the car, and he wasn't following orders. What the hell is going on in this country that when your car breaks down, that police show up with guns drawn on you, and you have to hold your hands up? What the hell does he have his hands up for in the first place? He has no business. He has no need to have his hands anywhere. He can put his hands anywhere he wants. How come when AAA shows up to, you got a disabled car on the side of the road, how come AAA doesn't show up and pull their gun on you? Because if they did, they'd be arrested immediately. Imagine a AAA tow truck driver pulls up and he shoots a guy on the side of the road. And the cops show up and say, why'd you shoot him for? Well, he didn't have his hands up. Well, what do you have to have his hands up for? Well, he was a big guy. He was a scary looking guy. I saw him. I told him. I pulled my gun. And I said, put your hands up. And he didn't do it, so I shot him. I killed him. The guy would be put in prison for murder. There were no questions asked. But for some freaking crazy reason, we're jumping over backwards trying to justify police shooting innocent, unarmed people, saying, well, he had his hands up, and he was doing everything okay. Maybe there was something, maybe that window was reaching for something he wasn't following. What the? There's no reason for cops to be pulling up on people, pulling their guns out. And I have a solution to this I'm going to present to you tonight, okay? A lot of people talk, and I try and come up with answers. First of all, I believe that there should be some kind of device on these holsters that any time a gun is unholstered, removed from that holster, it triggers off a little, alarm or something, a little notation device. Okay? By the way, the only profession in the whole freaking world on the face of this earth that we have to put body cameras on people to make sure they're not doing something stupid is police officers. You don't put them on the kids at Burger King. You don't put them on sales clerks or auto mechanics who's ripping people off. No, the only place we got to put them on is cops because we're worried they're going to do something stupid and crazy and kill people, which is what they're doing. Let's wake up, people. We need some kind of, every time they pull their guns out of their holster for whatever crazy reason they have, they need to fill out a report. They need to be brought in. Okay, come off duty now. Come into the station. Fill out this report here. Two superiors are there. Interview them. Why did you pull your gun out? What did you have to? What was going through your head when you pulled your gun and pointed a loaded gun at another human being? Potentially could have harmed them or accidentally killed them, whatever. What happened? Why did you need to do that? Okay, that's one thing. But what we need to revamp this whole entire system. And I think I've come up with a solution. That the whole arrest process needs to be overhauled. Now, it used to be, okay, fine, you get arrested, and then you get to make a phone call, you get to see a judge. He decides on your bail, right? And so you see, there's kind of checks and balances. You get arrested, but you're going to see a judge. You get to hire a lawyer, or you're going to have a lawyer provided for you, okay? And that was a great idea. All these ideas are great, but now the system's all screwed because people are getting arrested for stupid things. They're getting pulled over for stupid things. They're getting arrested for stupid things, resisting arrest. When just because you mouth off to a cop, now you're getting arrested for resisting. Everyone has to be in fear when they see the cops. They're getting their ass beat on the way to jail. They're getting thrown in jail over the weekend for no charges or nothing. Maybe they get released after that. Well, we got them. We stuck them in jail for the week, and we got them. Or they're getting the crap beat out of them by the cops at the police station. They get for some overworked public defender. By the way, you only get a public defender if you're facing jail time. If it's only a fine or a violation, you don't get a public defender. You only get a public defender if you're facing jail time. Okay? So even then, the public defender, he's telling you, you want to get out, you want to get back to work, right? You got to just plead guilty on this. And then they got charges hanging over you, got probation hanging over you, got classes hanging over you. No one can do that stuff. Now you got to get caught up again, right? And then it's a second offense. So, and then you get before a judge who is, again, what do you call, cynical, And 90% of people go before the judge get convicted anyway. The system sucks. It does not work for you and me. It works for cops, and judges who want to send you to classes that are all with their buddies, these anger management classes and all this kind of nonsense, these DUI classes. All these classes, the companies that get these contracts to teach these classes and get these scam deals, they're all part of the club. They're paying each other off. This is how this stuff works. We need a nationwide civilian complaint review board, okay? A nationwide one. That you don't have to go to the police department to fill out a complaint. You can go to the post office and just drop it in the mail. You can go to, safe havens, where you could fill out a complaint against police officers that are then investigated by civilians. But what we need is a process, too, that from the time of the arrest, when you're brought to the police station, or maybe you'd be brought to a separate building first, where there would be a civilian review jury, 6 members of a civilian jury who would review the arrest before you put this guy in a cage, okay? And if it's something stupid, like an argument with a cop, okay, or before the cop can get you in the back and beat your ass, okay, these civilians could say, well, no, we're going to nullify this arrest. And they're going to send this guy home. If it's something stupid, okay, civilians can judge this and say it's something stupid. We're not going to allow you to do something stupid, officer. Go back to work and go out and do some real police work. Don't harass. They got a thing here in Henderson called the crash unit. And what this crash unit does, their sole purpose of this elite crash unit is to go to underage parties, teenage house parties, kick the door in, and beat the crap out of these kids. I've seen it 20 times. You see, it's one of the big things down here at the arraignments is these little kids, teenagers, 18-year-old kids, who got the crap beat out of them by cops in someone's house. That's the kind of thing that a bunch of civilians would say, well, what's the crime here, officer? Well, they were having a party in a house. Okay, what's the crime here, officer? Well, look at this law here. It says they're not allowed to do that. So we went in there and arrested them. Oh, well, okay, well, we're going to let them go. Okay, they can go home to their parents, and their parents can spank them and take the car keys away. Okay, officer, go back out and do some work. Because there's pedophiles out there, there's murderers, there's serious crimes that you should be working on, not beating up little kids. Well, what's this next case you have here, officer? Well, this husband and wife were having an argument. So we went to their house. The neighbors complained. We went to that. We arrested them. Okay? And what would happen is, even with a lot of this domestic abuse cases that you see, is people don't want their spouse being arrested. The spouse has to work. They have kids together. They don't want to be stuck up in the system and going to court. They would follow the police car to the civilian review and says, I don't want this guy arrested. I don't want my wife arrested. I don't want my cousin arrested. I talk about a case here. I had these kids here for a long, long time. I talk about this case. There were two teenage cousins that got into a fist fight. They both got arrested for domestic violence. The kid went in the first day. He got into a fight the first day he was in jail, okay, because they filled up his head with all this stuff. You have to have a fight the first day you're there. The kid was in until he was over 18, okay? He was in there for like 4 years. It started off stupid little fight with his cousin. He got into a fight in the jail. And the next thing you know, they locked this kid up forever. So that's my idea, okay, where we could have some kind of a civilian review to review the actual arrests before it ever got to a judge, before it even got to a lawyer. The defendant, the arrestee, the guy that got arrested, could just verbally make his case to his neighbors and his friends, before, a jury of his peers, And then they could decide, and I think this is totally, this is what we want: community policing. We want community standards, to decide who should be put in cages and who shouldn't. I'm running out the whole show, and I got a lot I want to talk about. Okay. You've been watching this week. It's very interesting to me because there's a big news story this week about a 4-year investigation into the molestation of Cory Feldman and Cory Haim. Right? And if you notice, it's very interesting how this came out at the same time, because they've been working on this thing for 4 years. Radar Online and the National Enquirer. Okay? And the National Enquirer just had another 4-year investigation, coincidentally, on Charlie Sheen having HIV/AIDS. Okay? That's been going on for pretty much the same amount of time as this investigation into Cory Haim sexual abuse. Okay? And it's interesting to me how one of the main witnesses or leakers, in this case, you might call him the deep throat, is Cory Feldman. And if you notice, Cory Feldman had a little video go viral this week that he did some kind of musical performance on some morning show, and he brought out some old rapper from the 80s wearing like a red, white, and blue outfit, and he's got these Cory's angels in the back dressed up as angels, and Cory Feldman's dressed up in these weird outfits, and he's dancing like Michael Jackson. He's not dancing like Michael Jackson. He's dancing, he's trying to dance like Michael Jackson. And he's lip syncing his song, and it was so bizarre that stuff like that does not happen by accident. Now, you don't have bookers who book these segments on TV and not know that, hey, this is going to be a colossal ridicule. He's been trying to peddle this album for 10 years. But for some reason, they put him out now. And I believe it's possibly to discredit him and make him look foolish. Okay? Make him a laughing stock. To discredit him before this new revelation comes out. These new revelations. Now, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at some of these clues. Okay? And I think I'm pretty good at looking at this kind of stuff. And I kind of a little sixth sense about this. I'll tell you, when I was a kid, right? In the Bronx, my mother used to take us, me and my sister, to the movies, right? To the movie theater. And they didn't have like movies like today where they have like a Cineplex. It was like 10 little theaters, in one movie theater. It was like one screen, And in the daytime, you'd have like cartoons and kids' movies. And at nighttime, you'd have the adult movies. So she would take us there and we'd watch one of the kid movies. And all the kids would sit in a certain section. And they had these ushers that came up and down with flashlights to make sure the kids were behaving. And the parents would sit like in their own little section. And then when it was time for the adult movies, you'd go sit next to your parents. Because you had to be good for that. With the kids' movies, you can kind of act up a little bit and throw the popcorn around and stuff. But then when it was time for the adult movies, you had to really behave. And sometimes you would even watch the movie twice. You'd stay all day long, and you'd watch the movie twice. But also, too, I can remember certain occasions, I guess my parents had to go somewhere or what, when they would take me and my sister, and they would drop us off at the movie theater and just drop you off there. And you'd sit there all day long and watch movies all day long. And the ushers would kind of keep an eye on you. And I can remember sometimes, so either we brought friends with us in my father's car, or we met friends there that we knew at the movie theater from our neighborhood. Because back in those days, too, you knew all the kids in your neighborhood. And if a new kid moved into the neighborhood, everybody knew it right away. Well, who's the new kid? What's his name? Where's he live? What's he live? Like now, my God, nobody knows anybody. It's totally different back in those days. And I remember we would go to this movie theater, and you had to sit in a section, and there was a female usher, and there were some male ushers, too. And they used to have these things called the balconies, which were high up. And I think we used to smoke anywhere in the theaters, but I know they always smoked in the balconies. And I remember we used to want to go in the balconies. And the woman usher would tell us, no, you can never go in the balconies. Kids are not allowed in the balconies. And there was one time, me and my friend, I think it was Stevie. Me and my friend Stevie. His sister's name was Christine. His sister was friends with my sister, and I was friends with Stevie. And so my sister, I was Christine and Stevie, because they were sitting down there, right? And me and Stevie said, let's go up to the balcony, right? And so we asked the usher, can we go up to the balcony? And he says, yeah, go on up to the balcony. It was the guy usher. And we went up there, and it was a kid's movie. I remember this. And there was all these men up there in the balcony, and they were all smoking. And I can remember that when we walked up there, they just looked over at us with this kind of like lions, looking at a bunch of what a lion's eats, like gazelle, you know what I mean? Like they were gonna devour us. And as soon as I saw this, man, no good. Let me get out of here. Okay, my little sixth sense kicked in. I said, something's wrong here. Let's get out of here. And so and places like that. There was a lot of stories, you hear when you're growing up about kids who got molested at the movie theaters when we were little, because that was a haven for child molesters, the movie theaters. And I guess this woman usher knew that and tried to keep the kids away from these pedophiles that were up there on the balcony, but the male ushers was in on it. He was one of them too, and he would usher the kids up there. I spotted that. Okay, and it's always stuck in the back of my mind, too, because I've heard other stories from men, oh, yeah, I was sitting in the movie theater, and some man came to sit next to me, started, playing in my lap. You hear these stories. Another time, see, that was in the Bronx, but in the 8th grade, I moved to Staten Island. And I went to a Catholic school on Staten Island. And it was like the first day or the second day there, all the kids, because I was the new kid, and all these other kids had been to that school from 1st grade to 8th grade. So they were showing me around. Everyone's, oh, this kid's from the Bronx. Oh, my God. It was the whitest school you'd ever been in your life. They had one kid who was like an Italian kid but had dark skin, so they called him Leroy, okay? Because they never knew like a black kid or a Spanish kid. They didn't know anything over there. Everybody was like Italian and Irish, 100% white. So it was like the second or third day in the morning when you all lined up there to get into school, and this priest, it was a bald-headed priest, who shaved his head, right? And it was uncommon back in those days for a man to shave his head. It wasn't normal. Usually it was like Kojak. If you saw a guy with a bald head, hey, Kojak, Like now men shave their heads, but back then it was very, very uncommon. Yul Brynner and Kojak were the only ones. Like you didn't see normal people out in the street doing that. But this priest used to shave his head. And so I spotted that, and it was down to me. And all the boys were saying like, oh, wait till you meet Father So-and-so. Oh, he's going to give you the treatment. He's going to, wait till you see. Well, what's going to happen? Oh, you'll see. He does it to everybody. You can't get away from him. Okay. And I was used to dealing with priests. I went to a little Catholic school in the Bronx. We had priests, a tough guy. When nuns beat the crap out of me. And what's he going to do? Okay, he's a tough guy. He's going to beat me up. Okay. So I see this priest grab one of these little boys, and he puts him in a chokehold. And he starts whispering in the kid's ear with his lips right up against the kid's ear. And then he starts talking to the kid's face with his lips right up against this little boy's lips. And I'm looking at this, right? And I was like, oh, this is not right. This is no. This is not right. And this is not happening to me. This guy's not coming near me on any conditions like this in this scenario. I spotted that for what it was. I looked at this thing for 2 seconds. But all these other kids had been conditioned with this weirdo guy, and thought this was normal. I talked to some of these kids now. There has been allegations this guy was molesting kids. But so many of these kids who grow up now and went to that school and had this happen to them says, oh, no, he was the greatest guy. He never did anything improper. Still defending this guy. So I kind of have a sixth sense about this kind of stuff. Okay? Now, let's look at the clues left to us by Cory Feldman. Now, Cory Feldman wrote a book, okay? And in his book, he says about his first meeting with Cory Haim, quote, within hours of our first meeting, we found ourselves talking about Lucas, the film he made in the summer of 1985. The role I had wanted for myself. At some point during the filming, he explained that an adult male convinced him that it was perfectly normal for older men and younger boys in the business to have sexual relations, that it was what all guys do. So they walked off to a secluded area between two trailers during the lunch break for the cast and crew, and Haim, innocent and ambitious as he was, allowed himself to be sodomized. That man walks around one of the most successful people in the entertainment industry, still making money hand over fist. Now, when people heard that, they said, well, who came out of Lucas to make money hand over fist? Well, at the time, who was making a fortune? Well, one was Charlie Sheen, but the other one was Jeremy Piven, who was in that TV show Entourage. And he was on a roll. He was doing big movies. You don't see him much now. I don't know what he's doing. But at the time, he was making big money too. Pretty much as the same kind of money that Charlie Sheen was making at the time too, who did that big $1 billion deal he made to syndicate 2.5 Men. But in another quote from, what's his name? Cory Feldman. Quote, well, I have to be completely honest and say I'm not a huge fan of Charlie Sheen. I don't make it my goal to ever talk badly in the press. We're all in it together. That's the way I look at it. But Charlie in particular, especially the way he's affected other people that I know, point blank, Charlie Sheen and Cory started their careers pretty much together, and Cory fought for his entire life to recover from those early experiences and get his life together. Now that seems, a lot of people have taken this and pointed this as saying that taking these two quotes together and saying this is Cory Feldman pointing the finger at Charlie Sheen. Now, some people, I even had one guy come on his show and said, Cory Feldman has come out and named Charlie Sheen as a... No, Cory Feldman has never come out and named him. These are the only two real quotes that are the two major hints of who did this to Cory Haim. And Feldman claims also, too, that both of them were then passed around to powerful directors and producers. Some people speculate it might have been Spielberg. Okay? Another speculation is that it's Kiefer Sutherland was involved in all this. Another one is, that may surprise you, that's been suggested to me, again by another source, Clint Eastwood. Now I say, Clint Eastwood, man, what was he doing with little boys? Well, Clint Eastwood, there's no outward stories about Clint Eastwood with little boys, but there's plenty of stories, not just stories, but there's books, okay, about Clint Eastwood with little girls. You know, that movie he did, that movie Beguiled, where he is the Confederate soldier who holds up in his little school for girls. He was openly dating one of the girls in that movie, the 17-year-old girl. They were a couple in that, you know, not just in the movie, but in real life. This is openly. This is in a book. This is well known. His wife talked to me, and this guy is very crappy to his wives as well. Boy, there were a couple other. I don't have it in my notes right now, but Eastwood is someone to look at. Now, another one too is from the movie Lost Boys. The producer, director Joel Schumacher also has very serious allegations about him, and that this could be. But remember too, the story is that they're being passed around between several producers and directors and stars and people in the business and stuff like that. It was a whole ring of pedophiles. So there's a lot of suspects here to go around. Now I have from a very reliable source, okay, that Martin Sheen, Charlie Sheen's father, was in a relationship, a sexual relationship with Linda Blair during the filming of that TV movie Sweet Hostage, when she was only like 15 years old and he was like 40 years old. Okay, he lied about his age in that movie, by the way. And I have information from someone that I trust that Charlie and Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, knew about this and were being told Linda Blair's going to be your new mother. And there's some, I believe, the part of this story is that they actually saw them having sex, and that other people saw them having sex in their motel room in that little town where they were filming this movie. Okay? And I've seen pictures of stuff with Linda Blair, with another adult male. Okay? Bizarre stuff. And as you know, later on, she became a heroin smuggler and all kinds of... Everyone knows about that. She was convicted, arrested for smuggling heroin with a senator's daughter. Anyway, enough of that. Because the thing is tonight is Charlie Sheen. As you know, full disclosure, I did have a client that was attacked by Charlie Sheen when he went on that year-long rampage. He attacked my client in the Plaza Hotel. Most people don't know is that when the police showed up, he was naked and covered in blood when the cops showed up because he was breaking all the glass and all the windows. By the way, who owned the hotel? Donald Trump. Oh, all the names come back. Now, I'm kind of running out of time to really tell this whole story. We're trying to figure out, okay, who from this movie, Lucas, could be the one that Cory Feldman is talking about. Which older adult male star would say, hey, it's normal for older men to have sex with younger men? Well, is it Charlie Sheen or Jeremy Piven? Well, let's look at their lives. Have there ever been any accusations that Jeremy Piven has done any of these kind of things? No. Has Jeremy Piven ever been arrested for domestic violence? Has he ever been caught? Has he ever pulled a knife on his wife like Charlie Sheen did on Brooke Mueller? Then be found in a hotel room, naked, covered in blood, like Charlie Sheen was? No. Has anyone ever accused Jeremy Piven of being a pedophile and interested in child porn? No. Now, has anybody ever accused Charlie Sheen of being a pedophile and interested in child porn? Yes. Did you know that? That Denise Richards, and you can find these documents, they're on the smoking gun, in her court motions for custody and divorce and visitation, she talks about finding child pornography and seeing Charlie Sheen viewing child pornography on their family computer. And when she would confront him, he would say, "Mind your own business." She also asked him, what about, it slips my mind right now, what about that porn star or prostitute who disappeared and died? Do you know anything about her? And he says, none of your business. Not that I had nothing to do with it. None of your business. You know, he had another girlfriend. I forget her name right now. Who got shot in her butt. Okay? And the story they came forward with was that she was on the treadmill and he dropped his gun, fell on the floor, the gun went off and shot her in the butt. Okay? A lot of people don't know that Charlie Sheen is not allowed to be alone with any of his own children. Did you know that? Did you know that? He has 2 little boys with Brooke Mueller. Brooke Mueller lost custody of those kids. But Charlie Sheen cannot take custody of those kids. He's not allowed to be alone with them either. So those 2 kids, you know where they were living? They were living with Denise Richards. Okay? Because Charlie Sheen's so screwed up, can't be around kids. And Brooke Mueller, who had her knife pulled on her and then went back with this guy, you know, all for financial reasons. What do you call it? He's not allowed to be around those kids either. Oh boy, there's a lot of stuff. I skipped a lot of stuff in these notes. But what we know now, though, is that Denise Richards she could not take care of these boys. She could not take care of his boys anymore, and she had to make them leave her home. She wrote a 7-page letter to Child Protective Services describing that these 2 boys showed clear signs of abuse, that they would play with their own feces and they would play with the dog's feces. They would choke the dog and kick the dog, and that they would abuse her children. And she said that they were showing all the clear signs of little boys that were victims of abuse. Now, the National Enquirer has been investigating Charlie Sheen for 4 years over these rumors of having HIV. And the rumors of him having sex with trannies and homosexual sex. I've heard those rumors myself because when I was working on the Tiger Woods story, it was all the same people involved. Okay? So I've heard these stories a long, long time ago. Oh, boy. I can't believe I wanted to talk about some of this stuff, but I can't. I don't even know why I wrote these notes. Now, a lot of this is, I'm going to be writing a book, okay, about another case that I'm involved in right now. I've talked about it before. It's a very huge case. It's a big deal. And there's going to be overlaps to this story with the Charlie Sheen and all this stuff because some of the same people are involved in this, the Tiger Woods story, and the story I'm working on right now, the case I'm working on right now. There's not this story, but this is a real case. Okay? So, a lot of this is going to be coming out in the future, a lot more than you're hearing tonight from me. One more quick thing about that really blew me away too, with this Cory Feldman performance and this new album that he came out with. This album is dedicated to 4 people. One, I think, was his father. One was another one. And another one is Majestic Magnificent, okay? And if you don't know who that is, you got to look him up. Majestic Magnificent was Michael Jackson's magician, okay? There's also, he claims that he was Muhammad Ali's magician, too. He was a character here from Las Vegas. This guy was a real freaking character, one of the strangest people that have ever walked the face of this earth. Has done a lot more than just magic. Okay, I believe this guy's doing black. He has magic with a K. His name is Majestic Magnificent, with K's in it, And really, and he threatened Diane Diamond's life, okay, when she was investigating the Michael Jackson sexual. And this is the guy who Cory Feldman dedicates his album to. So you got a lot of weird stuff here. So, if we're going to look at all these facts and all these clues, right? What are we going to see here? Are we going to say, well, who else could be on the set of Lucas, who has this history of allegations of his father having sex with an underage teenager, who is accused of having child pornography on his computer, who's accused of having 2 little boys that have been abused, whose name came up right out of Cory Feldman's mouth. And Cory fought his entire life to recover from those early experiences and get his life together. So now we have Radar Online saying that after a 4-year investigation, coincidentally just like the 4-year investigation with the HIV, that they know who it is, and they have not come forward with the name. I do not know why they're not coming forward with this name, because it seems to be like a pretty common knowledge that everybody's accepting the fact that all the clues lead to Charlie Sheen. Okay. Now, what will the public's reaction be to this? Because up until now, they've overlooked, Sheen has one wife with a bullet wound to her butt. He pulls a knife on a Thanksgiving holiday on another wife, gets away with that. No jail time, nothing. Naked, covered in blood, chasing around some escort in Manhattan. Nothing happens. How many times can nothing happen to somebody? How can someone like that be so untouchable? It's beyond money, And you hear stories. By the way, I'm doing another show with Mike Rothmiller. He's coming back, and we're going to be talking about Hoover and the FBI and a lot of stuff like that. And he says, because when the cops catch you something in L.A., then they blackmail you for the rest of your life. It seems to be, and when you look at some of the other people around Sheen, just like Haim and Feldman are describing, it's a ring, and that someone's the head of that ring and able to get away with murder. Oh, boy. So, I'm pretty tired, to tell you the truth. It's been a rough week, guys. Another rough week. Never ends around here. So I got Mike Rothmiller coming back. We're going to tape this week. And then I got Dan Roll tomorrow. And then, like I said, I got... By the way, too, if all you guys out there are out there, everyone's fascinated lately with John Benet Ramsey case. I could probably have Steven Singular come back on and talk, and he can talk, what he does. He did a book about John Benet Ramsey. But if you're really interested in that case, take a look at the show that I did. I think it's in the member section with Melinda Kula, who has her own very interesting theory and set of facts and evidence, that it's a Filipino half-brother of Burke that John Ramsey fathered when he was in Subic Bay Naval Base in the Philippines. And she has a lot of stuff. And if there's, and it's a plausible theory with some facts and evidence behind it, if it's all true. I think the only thing holding this theory back is the people that are putting the theory forward and the way they're going about it. Now, I've had other people contact me and said, hey, I've been following the story yet. I've been in contact with them. I've looked at this. I've looked at driver's license. There's even more evidence than they've given me on the show. But I know when I tried to get involved in this and tried to work on this and contacted the DA's office and tried to get a copy of the ransom note, and I had a handwriting expert, and I was really working on this. These advocates for this story, there's like a little team of them at the time, were spamming the DA's office and spamming just made everything a ridiculous mess. No one wants to touch it because you get bombarded with all this crazy spam that you can't even understand. They don't have their case presented well. And, people don't want to deal with that, which is so common. So many people want to send me tips and stuff like that. And it's, people just don't go, and sometimes they have good information. They have a good story to tell. They have a good case to present. But they want to talk for 2 hours. They want to send you 14 pages. And here, review these 14 pages and come back, and go on in different directions. And it's not how to go about this. It's not how to get your story before the media or get it to a prosecutor or an investigator or something or even if you want to hire a lawyer, you can't go in there and just start rambling for 2 hours about all the people you went and talked to about it and all and your problem is so big and horrible and terrible it can never be solved. And you went to this lawyer, you went to that lawyer, I went to this one, I went to that one. That stuff gets nowhere like that. I should write a book about that and how to put your case together and present these things. I'm thinking about writing a book about all the different news stories we broke here on the Opperman Report. I found out, too, that with the Hillary Clinton story last week, that those glasses that she's wearing, those blue glasses, are not even legal to purchase in this country. Those glasses that were supposed to be to do with the that prevent the seizures and stuff like that. It's not even legal to wear those glasses in this country. Okay, well, let's take a little break here. I didn't take a break earlier, so we'll take it now. And when we come back, we'll have my interview being interviewed with Pierce Redmond. Now, that won't be on Spreaker, but it will be on all the stations that carry the show. You can find it on Awake, on People's Internet Radio, PSN, on the Air Network. And if anybody else is carrying it, just let me know, and I'll tell you. But coming up after this will be Pierce Redmond. And now a word from our sponsors. Did you know that 30% of all people on online dating websites and personal ads are either married or in a monogamous relationship? 30%. If you suspect that your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend may be cheating online, go to emailrevealer.com. At our online infidelity investigation. You give us their email address, and we can trace it back to online personal ads, dating sites, and social networks. We can even expand the investigation and find them cheating on escort service sites or even porn sites if they're registered to porn sites and swinger sites. So check out emailrevealer.com if you suspect your spouse is cheating, and check out our online infidelity investigation. William Ramsey is a producer here at the Opperman Report, and he's just come out with a new book, Children of the Beast. Aleister Crowley's Shadow Over Humanity. Now, he just sent me a copy of this book. Oh boy, it's about 2 inches thick. And there's a chapter on just about everybody in this book that you can imagine. The Beatles, and Jack Parsons, everybody's in here. It's incredible. And I definitely recommend this book. There's a bunch of pictures in here, too, of all these people and different chapters and information. Anton LaVey and people I've never heard of, too. There's a whole bunch in here. JFC Fuller. I don't know who he is. But it's great stuff by our producer here, William Ramsey. So check out Children of the Beast, Aleister Crowley's Shadow Over Humanity. You can find it on Amazon.com, or you could find it in the OppermanReport.com bookstore. We have an urgent bulletin. It seems that the group Strawman is still on the loose. It has been confirmed that Strawman are Canadian, okay, and that authorities are asking people to stay indoors, lock your doors and windows until this group can be dealt with. You could find more information about this group of Canadians, at strawmanmusic.com. You can have your ad played here. Okay, we're looking for sponsors. Okay, in fact, we desperately need sponsors right now to take this show to the next level. So you can have your your ad played here, read live, like I'm doing now, so artfully. Or we can even work up a little jingle for you with some music and stuff like that and play it here. You have no idea how inexpensive it would be to have your ad played on the Opperman Report on 7 stations. Live Friday night, and another 7 stations live on Saturday night, plus replayed every day of the week on different stations, and then archived on YouTube, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and all different kinds of podcasts, Pod This and Podbean, all different kinds of places who archive the show for us. And on those archives, your ad would play indefinitely, forever. You also get a little banner on OppermanReport.com. You get a mention on the air. You get a little interview on the air, and all kinds of fun stuff if you sponsor Opperman Report. We have an opportunity to get this show on a major AM/FM station in California. We've been approved. So if you want to sponsor us into that, so incredibly inexpensive that your ad would be heard by a